Grant, first of all, any good news on your absent 11 plus or however many people are out at the minute?
We'll see. Yeah, there's one or two been back on the grass, which is good. Tommy Rowe's back from suspension, so we've hopefully got one or two back for Saturday.
And no further issues, hopefully, with any existing players that haven't before?
No, what you've seen last week, everyone's come through that game, which is good. Added with another couple, so we go into Saturday's game a little bit stronger than we have been previously, and a bit more options for us, so we're looking forward to the game now.
Given all the players that are currently out at the minute, what was the significance really of that first home win, particularly against the opponent that you made it against?
Yeah, it was a good win last week. We didn't focus too much on it. We debriefed it like we do every game on Monday, and we focused on the next one. Tough game at Barrow, a team that started well. They've done really well in terms of the size of the club and how well they've done last season, and they seem to have started the season in that sort of fashion again. So we're under no illusions. It's another tough game, and we've prepared all week, and hopefully we can go there and put a good performance, and hopefully that can result to another win for us.
Bit of a mixed bag really from Barrow in terms of the results this season. One thing that did stand out to me is that they've all been very tight. There's only been kind of one goal in it. Is that the kind of game you're expecting?
Yeah, they were unfortunate last week at Mansfield. I thought they watching the game back, they've done quite well in the game. They've drawn with Wrexham at home. Strangely, they've only played a couple of games at home. I'm not sure why that's happened, but they haven't been beaten there. So it's always a tough game. We're under no illusions. The boys have spoke about what happened there last season as well. Some of the players are sitting around in the changing room. So we want to go there and make sure we put a good performance on.
Is it good really when players recognise things like that and moments that they want to put something right and feel that they weren't quite at the levels that they wanted to be? Yeah,
I mean, look, we're never one for speaking about previous, but I've heard one or two of the players mentioning it, just in passing really. So I'm sure they want to go there and right the wrongs, whoever's in the team and was involved in that game last season. So, but new season, new challenges, a lot of new players and staff. So we just want to go there and put a good show on, and hopefully we can send our fans home happy again.
Interested with your thoughts on a few players. Louis Marsh just starting to settle in, starting to see some things from him. What's your early assessment of kind of what you've seen so far?
Yeah, really impressed. Actually seen Paul Heckenbottom last night. Sat with him watching Barnsley's under 21s against Sheffield United under 21s, and I was speaking to him about Louis and George. And how well they've settled into the football club. George settled so quickly. Louis only been here a few weeks, but again, his performances have got better, I think. So it's pleasing. They think big things of both of the boys, to be fair. And Louis obviously, the latest one to come to us from Sheffield United, and they do things right there, at that academy, and you can see it flourishing, in terms of I think they won the league last year, the under-21s. They're at the top of the league again this season. I'm not saying that's the be-all and end-all, but they also bring players through as well, so they're doing a lot right there in the academy system, which is pleasing to see.
Is it great that Sheffield United trust you and trust Doncaster Rovers with some of their top talent, really, both on a permanent and a loan basis?
Yeah, I mean, we've always had good players. When I was at Hull, we took Regan Slater from Sheffield United, and he's gone on to be possibly one of the best players in the Championship at Hull at the minute. Tyler Smith was another one we took to Doncaster and to Hull, and obviously George and Louis. So when you're looking for loans, there's no better place to look than Sheffield United, because we know they've had a really good grounding. They're good people first and foremost, and they've been coached well. So it's we've been very fortunate with the players that we've taken from Sheffield United.
And what's kind of Paul Heckenbottom said about Louis Marsh? He said he wants you to push him, and clearly he'll want minutes, but he will want a better player than the one that you're getting.
He's not really said too much. I think he trusts us in Louis' development. Obviously, look, he's got his own work to do, so it's difficult, So he trusts us in his development. He just asked me how he was doing. I said I had to give him a little kick up the backside on Tuesday, because one or two things he went good. So yeah, Louis has got serious ability. He's clever, and I'm sure he's going to have a really good loan.
From a Louis to a Lewis, in terms of Jones coming in net, just how impressed of you being with him, and how important is it now at his age and his stage that he really makes the most of this opportunity?
It's very important for Louis. To be honest, we weren't sure whether he was going to sign his new contract in the summer, because we felt Louis himself may think, well, look, I need to go and be a number one somewhere. What we said to Lewis was, Ian Lawler is coming in. He knew that really early. I said, but we want you to, and Lawsy, to compete for that number one shirt. It's not about a number one and a number two. I think he's shown that in his performances, that he's been excellent in the games that he's played, and he trains like that as well. I think I spoke to you about it. He was disappointed he never played in the cup game against Everton. He come and told me that, which I like about him as well. But at that stage, he hadn't played a game yet. He'd just come back from injury. We didn't have the numbers to arrange a friendly game so that he could play in. But he's come in. He's taken to it like a duck to water, hasn't he? And I think he's at that stage of his career where he needs to be playing week in, week out. But we've got two goalkeepers like that, so it's pleasing.
Also needs to start backing himself a bit more. And it sounds like with knocking on your door and doing things like that, they're good signs, aren't they? There
is, yeah, and it's just an honest conversation with him. There was no, why was I not playing against it? He asked the question, was I on your thoughts? And I like that from players. I like when they come in and ask, what do I need to do to get into the team? Because we always give them, feedback back, and whether it's clips, whether it's things that we think they can do better, or we're happy with. So it's I'm pleased. Louis, he's obviously definitely grown up and matured, and we can see that in his everyday training, his own demeanour around the training ground, and his performances.
How important is it now to keep the momentum going? Because finally it feels like this season has got up to speed, but you're still essentially playing catch up as well, aren't you?
Just one game at a time for us, really. We have in-house targets and things like that we look at every 6 games, etc. But the next one's always the most important for us. Like I say, after last week's game, we were quickly focused onto Barrow. Again, it's another 3-game week for us coming up, a tough week. Teams, Barrow, really good team and hard to play against at home. Crawley, a team right in the mix in the top 6, and had a very good start, and a Stockport team that lost in the playoff final and have started to kick on as well. So it's a big week, tough week for us, but one we're looking forward to.
And just finally, on a separate note, I wanted to get your thoughts on everything that's happening at one of your former clubs at Scunthorpe, because we've heard today that they're moving out of Glanford Park, the owner's pulling out. I mean, you just must have a lot of sympathies with everyone that's still connected with the club and all the supporters there.
Yeah, it's hard to see, and Cliff mentioned it to me today after training. Have you seen the news? And when I read the news, it's just a shame, isn't it? It's such a shame. Without me going too far into it, I could tell you how I feel, but I don't think it's worth me getting into any trouble about it. So it's just disappointing for all the fans of the football club, people inside the football club who have been there for many, many years and still there. It's just really, really disappointing.
Thanks, Grant.
Thank you.
Grant, I remember Barrow away last season. What did the players say about it?
Just I heard them in passing, really. It was just more in passing. It wasn't me sitting down and them speaking to me about it. It was just they knew that they were really disappointed there last season. So hopefully, if any of those players that was in that team are playing for us, hopefully they can right their wrong.
Yeah, you mentioned Lou Jones to Adam. Ben Bottomley, is it his time to go out now and get some games somewhere?
Maybe. We've had a lot of phone calls about Ben, to be honest, and with Lawsy having missed the last few weeks, we couldn't do it. So that is something we will look at exploring over the next week or two.
Travel and maintenance, it's a long way. Are you sort of doing anything a little bit different?
It's actually 246 miles from my house to Barrow. I worked it out today. I would actually be quicker getting back to Northern Ireland. Wow. If there was a road from Barrow to Belfast. It's a long way.
Yeah. Were you obviously I know you guys won't overnight stay anyway. Were you gonna, I don't know, do the whole chunk of the journey in one hit and just get it done?
Yeah, well, it's not too bad. We're a little bit further here, aren't we, up north? So it's I don't know how far it is from here. I didn't actually work out the mileage, but I imagine it's at least a good 3.5-4 hour drive from here. So we'll train a little bit earlier tomorrow. We'll try and get on the road a little bit earlier, try and miss the traffic, and hopefully we get there in good time.
Nice one. Just wanted to mention, I know you've done a few interviews with Adam and the club as well about prostate United and prostate cancer. What was it that made you want to back this particular cause?
Just over the last, I mentioned to Adam, Steve Gilpin was one of our physios at Hull, and when we seen him doing that challenge every day and we got to know why he was doing it, just struck a chord to a lot of people, and particularly the first time he done it at Hull. We did it, there was a lot of the staff that done it had previous family members or friends affected by this, and me included, so it just seemed to, when we put it to them, it just seemed to get bigger. We had people, all sorts of people holding it in different departments. Same with Peterborough. Phil Adlin there, Peter had never run before, the press officer. I'm sure Liam knows it. Had never run before in his life, and he loves running now. So just getting them little things there is great. He did the whole month with he's still running. He's looking forward to the next one, and now we've got different members of our staff at Doncaster doing it, which is amazing. So it's going to be tough, like I said, but we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Do you know how many you got signed up here? To some more than 20?
Yeah, it's getting very close to that number. So it's we've got all the academy, a lot of the academy involved, most of the first team staff. In fact, probably all the first team staff. Sam, Vicky, the two chefs are going to get involved. Liam is going to do a 5k run every day. So we'll see. We'll see how we go.
Nice one. I know you mentioned to Adam, you insisted it wasn't about competition and times, but Cliff's a fit guy. He's got some good times. How do you get near those?
I don't. But Cliff, he loves trying to beat people's times and stuff like that. He's very competitive like that. For me, I just try. I know when you're doing it, you do feel better after every one, and I'm not about breaking times. I think the quickest I've done it was in about 24 minutes at Peterborough. So I'll get to that stage at some point, but for me, it's just completing it.